78% of overtakes at the 2026 Miami Grand Prix happened under braking, earned, not gifted. An 18-year-old won from pole without a single defensive error. A 4-time champion spun on lap 1 and still nearly salvaged the podium. Ferrari's upgrade proved fast enough to win, then their pit wall threw it away. Miami didn't just produce a race, it delivered a verdict on whether Formula One's new regulations actually work. Telemetry from the Miami paddock left no room for debate. The 2026 aero regulations are not theory. They are reality, measured in every sector and every pass. For the first time in years, drivers faced an honest fight with the air itself. The FIA sensors on the Mercedes W13 recorded just a 12% loss of rear downforce when trailing within half a second, a figure confirmed by both team data and the official technical bulletin. That is barely half the penalties suffered under the previous rules, where following in dirty air meant surrendering any hope of a clean move. The numbers tell the story. 78% of overtakes in Miami happened under braking, not in the slipstream. The classic DRS yo-yo, where a trailing car slingshots past only to stall out in the next corner, has vanished. Instead, the active aero package allows drivers to trim drag on demand, smoothing out the wake and keeping gaps stable, all the way to the braking zone. Onboard telemetry shows the rear wing flap transitioning seamlessly, never snapping open and closed as before. The drag coefficient remains steady, no sudden spikes, no artificial delta. Pass mapping from the race confirms the transformation. Out of 68 total overtakes, only 3 were completed on the straight. The rest were hard-earned, deep in the heavy braking zones at turn 1 and turn 10, where commitment and mechanical grip decide the outcome. Sector timing deltas reveal that trailing drivers could now close up an attack, not just ride the slipstream and wait for a button press. The data exposes the myth of the DRS pass. In Miami, overtakes had to be engineered by the driver, not by regulation. For years, critics claimed F1 passing was artificial, manufactured by overtaking aids and aero loopholes. Miami telemetry, pass charts, and FIA wake loss data delivered. Bad verdict, the new rules have finally put the emphasis back on driver skill and real racing. The age of the DRS yo-yo is over. Now every move must be earned. Kimi Antonelli arrived in Miami carrying the weight of expectation. But what unfolded was a masterclass in composure and technical precision. At just 18 years old, Antonelli did not simply inherit pole. He earned it, clocking a 1 minute 27.798 in Q3 with a lap time variance of only 0.3 across the session. That level of consistency is rare even among veterans, but Antonelli's control over the Mercedes W13 was clinical from the lights out. He managed the start with a measured launch, neutralising Russell's attack into turn 1, and then immediately began dictating the rhythm over the opening laps. The new aero package demanded more than just raw pace. It punished hesitation and rewarded those who could exploit every inch of the circuit. Antonelli's approach to the high curbs at turn 4 was a case study in adaptation. While others tiptoed around the risk of unsettling their cars, Antonelli clipped the curb lap after lap, generating a crucial 3-degree boost in right front tyre temperature. That extra heat translated into sharper turn-in and allowed him to hold the line where Russell, wrestling with rear oversteer, lost ground every time through Sector 2. Telemetry confirmed Antonelli's tyre management was relentless, never spiking, never dropping off, always within the target window. Even when the race threatened to unravel, a late race radio call flagged a gearbox sync-up glitch on lap 44. Antonelli's response was ice cold. Mercedes engineers worked up a revised shift map on the fly, and Antonelli never missed a beat, adjusting his upshifts and maintaining lap times within 0.3 of his pole pace. The pressure was relentless, but the rookie never blinked. In a field where the smallest error is instantly punished, Antonelli's blend of aggression and restraint set a new benchmark for what it means to deliver under Formula One's toughest new regulations. Verstappen's Miami unravelled before the first lap was complete. Launching on mediums, he gambled on grip that simply wasn't there. Telemetry confirmed his front left tyre at 34 degrees Celsius, a world away from the 60 degrees Celsius window Red Bull had targeted. The RB22 snapped sideways at turn 1, pirouetting Verstappen into the runoff and dropping him out of the points before the race had even found its rhythm. The mistake was his alone, a rare lapse that left Red Bull scrambling for damage control. The chaos did not end there. Isaac Hadjar, pushing too hard on cold rubber, clipped the wall at turn 14. Debris scattered across the racing line, and the FIA incident log shows the safety car deployed on lap 6. The field bunched up, compressing hard-won gaps and erasing Antonelli's early advantage. Red Bull seized the moment, calling Verstappen in for a switch to mediums. That pit call, timed with ruthless precision, cost just 15.8 seconds under yellow, slashing the usual penalty by nearly a third. It set up Verstappen's recovery, but the deficit was self-inflicted, and every gain from here required risk. Further back, the Alpine camp was split between heartbreak and hope. Pierre Gasly's afternoon ended in the gravel after a collision with Liam Lawson. Replays and the steward's report were clear. Lawson's rear axle locked under braking, clipped Gasly, and flipped the Alpine at turn 9. Gasly's car came to rest near the pit entry, battered, but outside the barriers. Lawson picked up a 5-second penalty, the kind that haunts a rookie's record. In stark contrast, Franco Colapinto delivered a drive that defied Alpine's lack of upgrades. Starting 12th on the baseline chassis, he navigated the melee, managed tyre temperatures with discipline, and climbed to 8th by the flag, overtaking Sainz and Albon on merit, not luck. As the safety car peeled in, the field reset and the strategic layer took over. The opening chaos had shuffled the deck, but the real battle was only beginning. Miami's volatility punished hesitation, and rewarded those who could seize opportunity in the smallest windows. Ferrari arrived in Miami with a technical package that, on paper, offered a clear step forward. Wind tunnel data showed a 0.04 second sector gain from the revised front wing and end plate tweaks. On track, Leclerc had the pace to contend, shadowing Antonelli and Piastri through the opening stints. But in Formula 1, raw speed is only half the equation. The Miami pit wall exposed the difference between theoretical advantage and operational execution, and the cost was brutal. On lap 38, the flashpoint arrived. Ferrari's strategy team, aiming to avoid traffic and cover Russell, issued a pit call that was misread by the crew chief. Instead of holding for one more lap as instructed, the stop was triggered immediately. The result was Leclerc boxed at the wrong moment, rejoining in P5 after a 2.48 second stop, longer than Ferrari's own average. That single miscue wiped out the upgrade's entire delta, dropping Leclerc into dirty air and forcing him to push the soft tyres harder than planned. The pressure mounted with every lap. Ferrari's engineers scrambled to recalibrate the plan, but the damage was done. Leclerc's radio crackled with warnings about rear grip and thermal limits, but the window to recover had closed. On the final tour, desperate to reclaim a podium, Leclerc braked late into turn 14. The rear stepped out, traction broke, and the SF24 spun helplessly into the runoff. Telemetry registered a yaw spike and a sudden drop in wheel speed, classic signs of a driver overextending on overheated rubber. The steward's report was blunt. Driver error, compounded by strategic failure. A 5-second penalty followed, sending Leclerc tumbling down the order. For Ferrari, Miami was a study in how a fast car and a strong upgrade mean nothing, without flawless execution when it matters most. Tyre degradation at Miami was almost a non-factor, and that reality sent shockwaves through the pit lane. Pirelli's own post-race charts put average wear at 0.12mm per lap, a number that would have been unthinkable even 2 seasons ago. Fernando Alonso's 41-lap stint on mediums, with lap time spread barely exceeding 0.3 of a second from start to finish, proved that the days of planned 2 stoppers and thermal drop-off have vanished. The one-stop strategy wasn't just possible, it was optimal, and every technical director in the paddock left Miami with a headache and a spreadsheet full of new questions. This wasn't a fluke of gentle driving or a lucky safety car. The 2026 Aero package, with its lower drag and more stable wake, keeps tyre temperatures in a narrower, more predictable window. The result is less sliding, less overheating, and almost no graining. Teams that gambled on aggressive undercuts or short stints found themselves boxed in by rivals who could simply run longer, then cover off attacks with fresher rubber at the end. But the real battleground is shifting above the asphalt. McLaren's Sector 3 Delta, plus 0.12 seconds over their pre-upgrade baseline, comes directly from a new rear-wing diffuser. Mercedes answered with a Sector 1 gain of 0.08 seconds, thanks to a revised front-wing stall control flap. These aren't speculative numbers, they're carved into the FIA's official timing sheets and confirmed by Team Telemetry. The upgrade war is now visible in every sector split, and the margins are so thin that a tenth here or there could swing an entire Grand Prix. With tyre wear neutralised, the championship will be decided by who can unlock the next tenth through relentless development. 4 teams, Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren and Ferrari, are locked into an arms race where the stopwatch is the only judge. Miami didn't just reveal a new style of racing, it exposed the raw, technical chess match that will define the rest of the season. 4 teams, 1 rulebook, 0 margin for error. The 2026 aerodynamic reset has delivered a championship where setup, execution and nerve now decide every point. In this era, excuses are exposed by telemetry, and only those who master both the car and the moment will shape Formula One's new order.